On tonight's episode of the Ultra RC Hobby Show, we're going to unbox the Typhon 6S. Chris also takes his UDR and plays with it for the first time of 2020. But as you can see, I'm away from my friend for episode 110. Welcome! Usually I say he's Chris and I'm Aaron, but obviously Chris isn't here today. We're taking the social distancing to the next level, so Chris is going to actually have some footage later on in this episode tonight. So thank you so much for tuning in. We are going to be obviously unboxing this brand new Arrma Typhon 6S. We had a customer order one up. This is the first time we've unboxed the new body style with the new wheels and tires, so I'm pretty excited about that. Chris finally takes his UDR out as well. It's been sitting on his shelf for far too long, and it finally got a motor and a speed control back put into it so he could go and rip it. It got a little bit on the dirty side, but you will see that in just a little bit. So let's start unboxing this Arrma. Okay, so let's unbox this new Typhon. So the Typhon has got a little bit of a facelift here recently. It did get a brand spanking new body and new wheels and tires. So this is going to include the 15 kg servo from Arrma. This is also going to include the new Spectrum STX2 radio and receiver, the STX200. And then it's also going to have 185 amp ESC that's capable of 6S or 4S, so you can actually drop it down a little bit and keep it somewhat under control. Let's see what we first pull out here. Looks like we get some extra shock pistons for some extra tuning. The bind plug, obviously, which is really nice. Looks like a high-speed Mod 1 pinion gear. We are going to get some basic tools, and we are going to get a 17mm T-wrench, which is quite nice. We're going to get the Arrma sticker sheet. We're probably going to get a little bit of a warning with the gear ratio. You can kind of see the corner of the gears here, and a manual. So next up out of the box is going to be the radio from Spectrum. So this is, like I said, the new STX2. This radio has a bigger brother, and that's the STX3. They've been a pretty solid remote for us, honestly. The best feature, I think, on this controller is the ability to knock that switch down to 50% throttle, 75, or 100% throttle right off of the controller. So no more actually programming your electronic speed control, you can do it right off of the radio. There also is going to be a throttle rate, throttle trim, steering trim, and the ability to reverse throttle and steering. So if you do change that steering servo or something else, you can make sure that it's going the correct orientation for you. So next up is the buggy, last but not least, I guess. Bum, bum, bum. And there it is. It's got a nice ride height to it. It actually has quite good ground clearance. I always do like Arrma. They always give you the clips that actually have the pull tabs attached to the body, so you don't have to worry about losing body clips, anything like that. Quite a sleek looking 8-scale body. We don't see too many 8-scale bodies with a lot of these like big extra curves or anything like that. So now let's talk about the chassis. Arrma is a little bit different than a lot of other manufacturers in the 8-scale racing world, as they are going to use a front pillow ball suspension. So that is going to use this big steering knuckle with two big pillow balls that ride inside of it. Very similar to what the T-Max, the Revo, E-Revo, Summit, that platform. Team Associated also use this on their racing platform, as well as Mugen Seiki Racing. The cool thing with Arrma, though, is they are going to give you pretty much an RTR platform ready to go out of the box, minus you will need to purchase some batteries, so either two 2S's, two 3S's, or a big 4S or a 6S. They have it pre-wired in series with the new IC5 connectors. If you are using the new Spectrum Smart stuff, this is all going to be compatible with that. Right now it is wired to have a jumper. So if you did just want to run one big 4S, one big 6S, you have that capability, and this jumper right here is just going to complete the circuit of the series connector, so you can run one battery. Kind of neat. The other cool thing with this design is you are going to get just Velcro straps as per usual. but you do have quite a bit of option for the kind of battery thickness you run. The length is kind of preset just because, you know, there isn't going to be too much extra options for hanging the battery off the back of the chassis here. So that is going to be kind of neat, something a little bit different for a lot of different battery options. The Arrma also does include, like I said, the 15 kg waterproof servo, which is definitely kind of the biggest complaint I have with it. Typical RTR electronics, however, it is something that you probably would want to upgrade sooner than later to probably like a 23, 25, 30 kg, somewhere in that, you know, 300 to 400 ounces of torque. That's usually what the 8-scaled, especially buggies, a bash buggy, it's what it's going to need to continually power the steering and not lose out on overpowering and overworking that servo. Other cool thing is it does come with a 2050 kV motor, which is bullets, little unplugged. 2050 kV motor, 185 amp waterproof electronic speed control as well, which is quite nice. So you shouldn't have any issues with the motor and speed control in this unit. Talking about drivetrain, they are going to include steel drivetrain, so it is going to be a CV style drivetrain at the wheels, so a constant velocity shaft, and then it's just going to be dog bones on these center shafts there, nothing too crazy. Other thing you are going to notice, you get aluminum shock towers front and rear. You are going to get aluminum adjustable shocks, which is quite big in my opinion. That is definitely something nice to see, especially on an RTR. You are going to get the same in the rear as well. You also are going to get an aluminum chassis. This is going to be 3 millimeters thick, pretty standard for the 8-scale racing scene, pretty normal. You are also going to get a aluminum servo horn. 2 thumbs up. Even in some of the race kits, they just include a plastic servo horn, so thumbs up to Arrma for that. The other thing is this car is going to run 17 millimeters, kind of like we talked about a little bit before, so you are going to be able to use any racing wheel and tire from Proline or J Concepts, Avid, something like that for your standard 8-scale buggy. No worries there. The other thing that's kind of neat about the Arrma is the price point it comes in at. For this car here, Canadian, I mean the Canadian dollar is terrible, so bear with me a little bit. For this car, Canadian, it's under 700 bucks. Which is a huge win. You're never going to be able to buy a race kit, build a race kit, put all your electronics in it for under that unless you buy it used. And even then it's kind of 50-50. So Arrma comes in at a great price point, and they are ridiculously durable from what we hear. So I'm really interested to see the customer take this out for the first couple times and see his opinion on it. One other thing we didn't talk about on the drivetrain is they are going to have 3 fluid-filled diffs. So the front diff, center diff, and the rear diff will be fluid-filled for extra tunability and adjustability. So other than that, that is the new Arrma Typhon 6S. So let's toss it over to Chris and bring some excitement back and run that UDR.
Yeah, the UDR, or what's left of it. So the UDR is in a full rebuild. So here's the entire cage. I actually broke a chip out of the chassis, so it's getting a whole new chassis as well. And then I'm rebuilding all the shocks. Let me just grab this here. I'll give you guys all right there. Yes, I'm rebuilding all the shocks. I got all the shocks sitting there, all the old oil there. Some new oil to go in. The front end has been all rebuilt. New oil in the diff. I get 1 new bearing for there. The transmission's all rebuilt, servo's there, and the rear end is rebuilt as well. So it's all ready to go. But the reason it's happening is I got a little rowdy with it. So without any further ado, let's show you guys a little romping good time with the Traxxas UDR. Oh.
win this round.
The UDR, doing some slides. We took it out in the mud, took it out in the gravel pits out by the East Side Weir, by our university there. Tons of awesome hills and stuff for the UDR, so that's my favorite place to take it. Such a fun truck. So I like to take my time and put in the maintenance and keep the truck running right. And magically, the truck is back together, almost. Still have to redo the steering links and put the servo in and the drive shaft and a few other little bits. But besides that, we are good to go. But that's all for us this week. Thanks for tuning in. For Aaron and I, thanks for commenting, subscribing. Make sure you check out Ultra RC Hobbies page, www.ultrarchobbies.com. Make sure you comment, and subscribe. It means a lot to us. Make sure you check out my page, RC Deebs, on Facebook, Instagram, and on YouTube. And that's it for us tonight, guys.